I never believed a single message could change someone's life, but the night a stranger texted me at 2 a.m., something inside me shifted in a way I still can't fully explain. The message was simple, almost innocent, just one line that shouldn't have mattered. I don't know why, but you seemed sad today in your post. At first, I thought it was a mistake. My post wasn't sad, it was just a late-night selfie with a random caption. But the fact that someone noticed a sadness I hadn't even expressed out loud unsettled me, pulled me in, made me curious in a way I wasn't ready for. I replied without thinking, something I usually never do with strangers, but his words felt strangely familiar, like he already knew a part of me I rarely showed anyone. He told me his name was Adrian, and even though I knew it might have been fake, some part of me immediately trusted him, or wanted to. We talked about small things at first: music, late-night overthinking, why our generation prefers texting at odd hours instead of sleeping, but within minutes, the conversation became something deeper. It felt like he was reading between my lines, understanding emotions I wasn't even typing. He said he'd found my profile through a comment thread we both laughed at earlier. I didn't remember seeing his name, but I didn't question it. I was too wrapped in the comfort he gave, the way his messages felt like warm hands holding mine through a screen. Hours passed. Sunrise happened. I didn't even notice. His words were gentle but honest, curious but respectful, and I found myself telling him things I hadn't told people I'd known for years. Maybe it was the anonymity, maybe the timing, maybe the loneliness I didn't want to admit I had. But talking to him felt liberating, like I'd finally found someone who could hear the quiet parts of me without me explaining them. The connection was instant, unreal, almost frightening, but it felt good. Every time my phone vibrated, my heart reacted before my mind did. And yet, behind every message, there was a question I kept ignoring. Why did it feel like he knew me far more than a stranger should? The second night, he messaged me again at the exact same time, 2 a.m. sharp, and somehow that familiar vibration felt like a signal, like my day wasn't complete until I heard from him. I should have been scared. I should have wondered how he always knew when I was awake, why his timing was perfect, why he seemed so deeply tuned into my moods. But instead I felt relieved. He asked how my day was, and even though nothing special had happened, I found myself typing long paragraphs like I owed him honesty, like he had earned the right to know my world. He told me he liked the way I expressed myself, said my words felt alive. No one had ever said something like that to me before, and the validation wrapped around my heart like a soft blanket. Soon, our chats turned into hours of storytelling. He told me he lived far but not too far, an answer that confused me but somehow matched the mysterious aura he carried. He refused voice notes at first, saying he hated his voice, but there was something poetic about the way he typed, the rhythm his messages carried, the way he could make a simple sentence feel like a scene from a movie. I didn't question anything. I was too caught up in the feeling that someone out there understood me perfectly. I began waiting for nighttime just so we could talk again. It became routine, then habit, then something dangerously close to addiction. I didn't want to admit it, but I was falling for a stranger whose face I had never seen, whose voice I had never heard, whose truth I knew nothing about. Yet every message felt right, like he was meant to exist in my story. One night, I asked him a simple question. Why me? There was a long pause, longer than usual, long enough to make my chest tighten. Then he replied, some people come into your life by accident. Some come with a purpose. You don't have to believe me yet, but you'll understand soon. His words were beautiful, but also strange. Purpose. Understand soon. What did he mean? I wanted to ask, but something in me hesitated. Instead I let myself feel the warmth he brought, pretending the world was as soft and easy as our late-night conversations. But deep inside, a small voice whispered that everything felt too perfect, too aligned, too intentional, and life was never that flawless. Still, I silenced the voice. I was too deep to climb out. The day I finally agreed to meet Adrian in real life, something inside me felt strange, as if my heart was excited but my mind was quietly warning me about something I couldn't name. For days he had been saying how amazing it would feel to see each other beyond the screen, to confirm the connection we had built in messages that felt too deep, too perfect to be accidental. I wanted to believe him, I really did, but as I got dressed and looked at myself in the mirror, a tightness formed in my chest that refused to go away. Maybe it was fear, maybe vulnerability, maybe the unpredictable reality of meeting someone who had only existed in the safety of pixels and late-night conversations. Yet I still went, because some part of me needed to know if the person behind the beautiful messages was real, honest, and as genuine as he made himself sound. We chose a quiet cafe, and I arrived early, hoping to collect myself before he walked in. The place was warm, filled with soft lighting and the gentle hum of people talking, but I felt isolated, almost nervous enough to turn back and leave. Then the door opened, and someone walked in who didn't match anything he had hinted about. He wasn't the tall, calm, soft-spoken boy I had imagined. He looked older, sharper around the edges, his eyes scanning the room too confidently, like he was used to watching people rather than meeting them. When he recognized me, his smile was not the nervous, sweet one I expected, it was the kind of smile someone gives when they know far more than they should. He sat across from me, greeting me like we'd known each other forever, but I suddenly realized how little I actually knew about him. His voice was deeper, colder than I'd imagined, and instead of that poetic rhythm from his texts, he spoke quickly, almost like he was performing a role. I asked him simple things about his life, and his answers didn't match anything he had ever told me. He shrugged it off, saying he must have explained things badly or maybe I misunderstood, but everything felt off, unsettling, as if the person behind the messages wasn't the person sitting in front of me at all. I tried to smile, tried to hide the discomfort rising in my chest, but with every minute, the uneasiness grew heavier. It wasn't about looks or expectations or first meeting awkwardness. It was something deeper, something in his eyes that didn't feel kind or vulnerable like his texts. It felt calculating, observant, like he wasn't meeting me because he liked me, but because he wanted to confirm something he had been studying about me for weeks. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. As we talked longer, my instincts grew louder, telling me this meeting wasn't meant to confirm love, it was meant to reveal truth, and the truth didn't feel comforting at all. He asked questions with unsettling precision, things I never mentioned clearly but had hinted at in small ways, and he remembered every detail like he had memorized me, studied me, collected pieces of me from every message. When I didn't respond the way he expected, his tone shifted, just slightly, but enough for me to catch the annoyance behind it. It became clear he wasn't the shy, caring night owl who checked on my sadness at 2 a.m. He was someone who knew how to mimic empathy, how to mirror emotions just enough to make someone trust him. The conversation became heavier, colder, and I felt trapped between the version of him I had fallen for and the version sitting across from me. He asked why I looked uncomfortable, leaning in as if he had the right to demand an answer, but I simply said meeting new people made me nervous. He laughed, not kindly, but in a way that made me feel naive, like I was an experiment. In that moment I realized I didn't fall for a stranger, I fell for a version he carefully constructed, piece by piece, message by message. When I finally stood to leave, he grabbed my wrist not hard, but firm enough to send a chill through my entire body and asked if we would meet again. I forced a smile and said yes, only to pull my hand back the moment he loosened his grip. I walked away with trembling steps, every instinct screaming that I had escaped something I wasn't prepared for. That night, I blocked him on every platform, deleted every message, and sat alone on my bed realizing how close I came to trusting someone who never deserved it. It took days to shake the fear, weeks to understand the lesson hidden in the experience, and months to rebuild the parts of myself I had given to someone who wore a mask so perfectly I didn't see the face behind it until it was too late. Moral lesson: never fall in love with someone's online version. People can fake their words, their timing, their sweetness, even their pain, but they can't fake the energy they carry in real life. Always listen to your instincts, they see danger long before your heart does.